Welcome to the vlog, y'all. Today is July 16th. This is gonna be a combination of like a diet update, grocery haul, what I'm figuring about my body, a lot of updates. Let's get into it. I am actually hungry right now, so I'm going to make myself a little lunch to eat while I chat with you guys because I don't want to chat while I'm hungry. So I've got a little bowl. I have some baby food, some Greek yogurt. We'll get into why I'm eating this again in a second. And then we're gonna go for some hazelnut spread. This is gonna be really good. This is non-fat Greek yogurt because I find that full-fat yogurt can be a little much for me. So I'm just doing non-fat. I'm just putting like one serving, I think. Wow, this tastes really good. Now let's do this baby food. So we're gonna, whoa, this is more liquidy than I expected. This is really good though. It's pineapple, banana, dragon fruit, spinach, and probiotics, and it's really good. I got this in the refrigerated section of the grocery store because in all of my trials of baby food, the kind that is shelf stable just doesn't taste as fresh, doesn't taste as good. And if I can't tolerate fresh fruit, I at least want my blended fresh fruit to taste fresh. This is the kind that is refrigerated baby food, which can actually be kind of hard to find at certain grocery stores. But I got this at Sprouts. All right, I'm putting the rest on here. I'm not sure that it's going to go with chocolate upon tasting it. So problem is I just bought this almond butter. I'm going to have to like stir it up and I'm not like excited about that. Yeah, so this lunch has protein, healthy fats, a variety of produce from this. You know, we've got pineapple, banana, dragon fruit, spinach, and lemon in this little packet. So this is something that just sounds really good to me. And I think that I will actually be able to digest it, which is amazing. The last video you saw, I was like, I'm gonna break all of my food rules and I'm just gonna eat whatever I want, I mean, that was a fun experiment. I had a delicious salad that I made, but unfortunately, initially the taste of the salad was really good. And initially the taste was enough to get me to push through the pain. But I made a lot of it because I was like, oh, I'll just eat this every day and it'll be so great and After a couple of days of eating it, I was like, the pain of this is so bad and it's just so uncomfortable to eat. The flavor is not even worth it anymore. And so I stopped eating it. This is a pretty dull knife. I know it doesn't look like it, but it is, so it's not hurting me. Stopped eating it. Unfortunately, a lot of what I prepped went bad because I wasn't eating it. Robert doesn't like tomatoes or pickles. I'm not gonna do that again because I don't want to waste food. I feel really guilty that I made that salad and so much of it went to waste, but I tried. I tried to eat that salad as much as I could, but it was just a bad idea. I mean, the intention was good. The intention to get more produce and more nourishment into my diet was a good idea. It was just not a good approach. So we'll do some almond butter. I'm just gonna like drizzle some, about a tablespoon. So yeah, this is, I don't know if you can see, I don't wanna spill it, but this is the finished product. We have fruit, nuts, it's got protein. I'm happy with this lunch. It looks like something that's not gonna hurt my stomach. I've measured this cup before and this cup holds a cup of food or a cup of liquid. So that makes me feel good that it fits in this. I have read that people that have gastroparesis really shouldn't be eating more than a cup of food at a time. I'm guilty of pushing myself too hard, and that's something I want to discuss in this video, but I've been pushing myself too hard for a long time. I need to stop doing that. One of the things the nutritionist did tell me, in addition to telling me that I should push for gastroparesis diagnosis, she was like, you need to accept that you need to eat the gastroparesis diet. My initial response to that was, let me push against it. Let me eat seed crackers and salad and all these things that are not gastroparesis friendly. But after I pushed against it and felt how painful that was, I was like, yep, I need to follow the gastroparesis diet. That's what this video is gonna be about. It turns out Robert loves seed crackers, which is good because I have only eaten them the one day that I bought them. And it made me so sick that I was like, yeah, whole nuts and seeds, cannot digest those. Nut butter though, whole different story. The nutritionist said that's because the nut butter is kind of like a liquid, and so it does empty better than a whole nut and seed. But Robert loves these. Robert loves these seed crackers. He says when he eats them, he feels like a bird. So I just let him eat these, and these are now his. Yeah, oh, this looks really tasty. It tastes really good. Dang, why did I never think of this meal before? I feel like my body is going to actually absorb this. Yay. I just want to like experience this before I even make the video. Let me show you how much of the salad from last week is left over. It's honestly embarrassing. Like, this is all the lettuce, wilted basil, wilted arugula. I hate to show this, but this is why it is so much better for me to buy food that does not expire quickly and that is not unsafe for my stomach, because I'll buy it thinking, oh, I can just power through the pain, and eventually the pain gets the best of me and I don't end up powering through it. So all the lettuce, broccoli. I made way too much broccoli, rocketed them up to throw away. This is gonna smell so horrendous when I open it, so I don't wanna open it, but I'm gonna have to. Tomatoes. There's a bunch of the pickle thing left too, but I already put that container in the sink and it's like covered in soap now. Pickle thing, a bunch of the pickle, olive, pepper thing. So it's a real bummer. I'm gonna have to throw this away, do all these dishes. I'm so glad I made the salad. I made way too much. I should not have tried to meal prep it. Why have I been so reluctant to fully commit to the gastroparesis diet? Why have I failed every time that I've tried to do a blended food diet? And I think the reasons are many. I'm starting to realize that my protein shake probably had too much protein in it and was keeping me way too full for too long. It was actually something that one of the commenters brought to my attention. One of you guys was like, why are you trying to eat double the recommended amount of protein every day? Like, why are you obsessing over this when it makes you too full? It's hard to digest. I mean, part of one of the reasons that protein gets a lot of praise in a lot of different diet and food spaces is because it keeps you full for so long, partially because it is hard to break down. 30% of the calories from protein don't get absorbed because of how hard it is to break down it for the body compared to other foods like carbs and fats. And so this commenter was like, why are you eating so much protein? And I was like, why am I eating so much protein? And I think I was just so focused on protein because it just seemed really important to prioritize for maintaining muscle mass and just all these other various things. And I've also been concerned about feeling weak. And I kept thinking, if I feel weak, that means I need more protein. And I think that was inaccurate. I've been feeling weak for a lot of reasons. And I think the reason I've been feeling weak might actually have to do with the fact that I've been trying to live on protein shakes and protein bars, which are hard to digest. And like, it's making it harder for me to get nutrition, but I'm eating harder to digest foods. Another reason I've been feeling weak is because of the heat and my dysautonomia, or rather suspected dysautonomia. But when I just saw my cardiologist recently, he was like, you pretty much definitely have this. We need to test it, but like, you pretty much definitely have this. He's very convinced I have dysautonomia. And so with the heat, my dysautonomia has been acting up a lot. Even drinking salt water has not felt like enough. When I'm eating foods that don't have much salt in them, it's not helping. So you will see that one of the foods that I bought for the week is a food that I can add a crap ton of salt to, which is good. Okay, this is just, I'm not feeling sick yet. I'm gonna eat it really slowly, but I'm really excited about this meal. This is probably gonna be my lunch or my breakfast for this whole next week or so. I bought a lot of yogurt. I bought 3 of these. I bought 3 of these yogurts. Yes, for months I have been saying, I can't have dairy. Dairy makes my pain worse. Da-da-da. I've been saying that. For the past week or 2, I have been experimenting with eating dairy. Basically, I developed this little morning routine that brings me a lot of joy and sets good intentions for the day and helps my mental health. And so my little routine is at 6 in the morning, I go to this coffee shop that is on my way to work. It's about 15 minutes from the apartment, so going on weekends is a bit more of a trek, but it's exactly on the way to work on days that I work. I get there at 6 in the morning and I get a latte with whole milk. I did soy milk for so long and I just don't like the taste of soy milk in coffee that much. I went and I've been getting it with whole milk and I expected to be in tons of pain after drinking the whole milk, and I have not been. I do get a 16-ounce latte, and 16 ounces of liquid is a lot to put in my stomach at once. I mean, that's a lot of volume. Like, this is 1 cup of food, 2 cups of liquid, even though it's liquid, is just a lot for my stomach to handle at once. And so it does cause me a bit of pain. For that reason, I guess I could get a smaller size, but I just love lattes so much. I've been getting that, not having severe pain, and it made me think maybe I do actually tolerate dairy. It's just, I have one of the biggest mistakes that I've made in this whole journey is whenever I have a bad week with pain, or a bad week with constipation, or a bad week with nausea, or a bad week with whatever, I go in and try to attribute it to some food that I'm eating. When I had one of the worst pain weeks that I've had the entire year in March, I was eating a lot of Greek yogurt in the mornings. And so I attributed it to Greek yogurt, and I was like, that is it. That's what's causing it. And when I cut out the Greek yogurt, my pain did go down, but I do not think in retrospect that my pain went down because I cut out the Greek yogurt. I think my pain went down down because that really bad pain week ended. And it just so happened that that week I was eating Greek yogurt. So yeah, I'm reincorporating dairy. It's just because dairy is really nutrient dense, really protein dense. Honestly, I have been noticing that I feel like the protein from the milk feels better to my stomach and better to my body than the protein from something like an Aloha bar. I'm really over these. I've been relying on these so many a day for the past month or so, and I've gotten to the point where I do not want to eat any more of these ever again. Robert loves them, so they won't go to waste. He says they taste like peanut butter cups. He loves them, so he will finish this box. But basically what's been happening is I'll be really hungry and I will eat one of these, expecting for it to give me nourishment and energy. And it will make me feel nauseous, make me feel full, make me feel sick, but I won't feel energy from it for hours later. I'm realizing that the reason I need to avoid solid food is not as much because it is so much worse pain-wise than liquid, because liquids can cause me pain if I have enough of them. I have to eat this very slowly. If I were to eat it all at once, I would be in pain, I would be nauseous, same as if it was solid food, right? Although I definitely couldn't have this much fruit if it was solid fruit. And I've talked about this before back in March. I tried to explain that because solid food sits in my stomach for a lot longer than liquefied or pureed food, it is harder to get the energy from it quickly because it's in my stomach for so long before it gets to the small intestine where the nutrients are absorbed. The majority of nutrients of any food are absorbed in the small intestine, which is why SIBO messes things up so badly, because when you have SIBO, those microbes in the small intestine are eating your food, basically. So that's why SIBO can be so awful. So I'm realizing when I eat solid food, even if I can muscle through the pain, even if I can muscle through chewing it down to as much as I can, even if I can muscle through whatever it is, it's still sitting in my stomach for a super long period of time. And it's contributing to me feeling weak and not nourished and just generally bad because it's not getting to my small intestine in any timely amount of time. And I was thinking because these granola bars were broken down, like blended, that it would be easier to digest, so they would act like a liquid. But I really don't think that food acts like a liquid unless it literally is blended and pureed and is a liquid. Like, I still have to chew these down, and it is hard for me to chew solid food down to the point that it is more liquefied because I have chronic jaw pain, which I don't talk about a whole lot. My jaw is one of my problem joints. I don't talk about it a whole lot on the channel because it recently, in the past few months, got bad. But when I'm eating something solid that requires a lot of chewing, there's only so much chewing that I can do before I'm in intense pain. So that also is limiting my solid food ability, because if I eat a bunch of solid food, I have to chew to get to digest properly. And by the end of that chewing, I'm in so much pain. Another reason why blended food is where we need to be going. So yogurt going in the fridge. I had to be really careful when I bought these baby foods because I had to check the nutrition labels to make sure that I wasn't buying any that had strawberries in them or mango in them because of my allergies. So I had to just read every single fruit that was in it. All of these baby foods are just blended fruit, and some of them have some pumpkin seeds, or these have pumpkin seed and oatmeal, these overnight oat ones. So these are a bit more filling. I would probably eat these on the day that I was hungrier. I basically got 2 every kind. So these are the 2 overnight oat ones. They have a bit more protein and a bit more fiber in them because they have a bit more stuff in them. They have blueberry, apple, oatmeal, date, pumpkin seed, coconut milk, vanilla extract. But they look really good, so I grabbed 2 of these. These are fruit and veggie blend. These have apple, sweet potato, blueberry, water, and coconut milk, but still very simple ingredients. I only have 1 of these left now and I'm sad. Pineapple, banana, dragon fruit, spinach, and probiotics in these. And then this one I'm intrigued by because it's a avocado. You guys know I love avocado. So these have pineapple, banana, apple, avocado, and mint. I'm really intrigued by the avocado and mint flavor play here. So I'm very intrigued by this. My intention with these was to either eat them plain or to put them in yogurt like I have here. I'm really bummed that I haven't relied more on baby food this whole time. I'll go through phases where I'll buy baby food and I'll eat it, but I've just not really kept it in the house this whole time, even though I know that it's a great gastroparesis friendly food. the particles in baby food are so broken down, you know, more than you might even get in a smoothie. And they're also a small portion, and the fiber is limited. Like, there are so many positives to these. And they also all have a variety of fruits in them. It's amazing. And something like this is so much smaller volume with much more variety in it than I could make myself. Like, if I tried to make a smoothie with all these ingredients in it, it would end up being probably quadruple the volume. It would make me sick, because for me to blend it, I have to add a bunch of water. And so whatever equipment they have to make these, they can get it so that it's more fruit, less water, easier to digest. This is how I'm justifying purchasing these rather than making them, and just imagining the amount of produce I would have to buy, amount of storage containers, amount of effort I have to do to make these myself. I think it's good to just buy them in my case. So I'm putting them back in the fridge. As I said, I think the refrigerated baby food tastes a lot better than the shelf-stable kind, and that is why I got it. We're gonna stay on baby food for a second. I got a bunch of Popsicles and spoonable smoothies. I had 2 of these spoonable smoothies for breakfast today. So good. Let's talk about the spoonable smoothies first. These did not make me feel sick at freaking all because the volume is so small. I mean, this is 3.5 fluid ounces. That is so small. They all have about 120 to 130 calories. I had to be careful buying these, and I was kind of sad because I could only buy 3 of the flavors because the other 2 flavors, one was mango, one was strawberry. And I was like, no, flavors I got have been good. So I have this coconut cinnamon flavor, and I love the ingredients in these. Banana, coconut cream, water, dates, coconut, ground flax, ground chia, cinnamon, sea salt, lemon juice. Really simple ingredients. They have a good mixture of fats and carbs. They're fairly low protein and low fiber, which honestly, I'm starting to understand is better for me. I don't need to be pounding protein. I can figure out getting enough protein with like nut butter and yogurt and move on with my life. Pounding protein bars and protein shakes has not really been helping me, and I'm finally realizing that. Thank you to the commenter who pointed that out. These have the texture of ice cream. They are just really delicious. Again, I could never make something at home that had all of these ingredients that fit in this small of a volume easily. So I think these are worth it. So I got coconut cinnamon, I got dark chocolate. This dark chocolate flavor is very chocolatey, which I was amazed by. It has banana, water, dates, cashew butter, cacao, flax, chia, salt, and lemon juice. I love these have flax and chia in them too because that's good for omega-3s. This is the peanut butter flavor. It has bananas, water, peanut butter, dates, flax, chia, salt, and lemon juice. This is the only one I haven't tried. I had one of these and one of these for my breakfast after my coffee this morning, and I kind of spaced them out and they sat so well. Definitely gonna be getting more of these. I have a bunch of the chocolate ones, and then yeah, out of those flavors, I will be eating them a lot, I imagine. Then I got these Popsicles. I like that these have greens in them. It's really hard for me to get greens in. I was excited about these because they have greens and fruit. They just have really simple ingredients. So pineapple, water, banana, dates, spinach, chia, and lemon in the pineapple spinach one. And the blueberry kale one has blueberry, water, banana, dates, kale, chia, and lemon. Each tube only has 1 gram of fiber and 45 or 40 calories. And I just thought they'd be a great treat now that it's summer, and just a great little dose of nutrition for me. Something that craving that salad made me realize was I really do need to get more of a variety of produce into my diet. Resisting blended food was not helping me get a variety of produce into my diet at all. And my body's just been craving that. I mean, there's a reason that they tell you to eat fruits and vegetables. Like, it is good for you. And it's very hard for someone that has the disorder that I have to get fruits and vegetables and to get that variety of produce. I'm excited about these, and these little ice creams, so good. I'm definitely gonna get more of them. They were on sale at the store, a couple dollars off, so that's why I got these. I'm definitely gonna get more while they're on sale. I'm gonna throw these back in the freezer. I don't wanna drop them. These are really easy to drop on the floor. I got a lot of almond butter at the store. This one is not open. I'm not sure why it was in the fridge. This one needs to go in the fridge now. But I've talked before about how I love this brand because the raw flavor just tastes so sweet. The raw flavor is consistent, unlike toasted almond butters, especially other brands that I've tried. Something that I do want to remember to do is to eat small spoonfuls of almond butter throughout the day. I realized that eating those big cups of almond butter and like other nut butters was making me feel kind of nauseous. But when I just have have 1 tablespoon at a time, it actually works pretty well. And I can get a lot of extra calories if I just have a spoonful of nut butter here and there throughout the day. So always try to have nut butter on hand. Then we're getting to the last thing that I bought. This is a good opportunity for me to remember to plug my Instagram. I never plug my Instagram because even though I want to help people with these videos just by sharing my experience, this is not medical advice, not diet advice. I just like sharing my journey and emotional and medical and all the different aspects of it. I just never plug my Instagram because I really just don't care about how many Instagram followers I have. I just don't care. I realize that you might want daily updates from me, and I do always post in my Instagram story a lot. Daily food, daily emotions, a lot about emotions. I post music that I like, whatever. If you want more of me, not sure who wants more of me, but if you want more of me, follow me on my Instagram. It is literally my name. I'll put the handle here. But yeah, so getting to the last thing that I bought. This I imagine having for dinner. And it's one of the things the nutritionist recommended to me. She said, why don't you eat more blended soups? And I told her that the reason I don't eat more blended soups is because when I make them at home, they're so labor intensive. They never taste right. They end up just having way too much fiber. I don't know what I do that's different from how they process them at like the store or whatever, but whenever I make them at home, I just like add all these vegetables and then I blend it up and it's like I'm eating a bowl of fiber and it's just too much. But when I was at Sprouts today, I found this brand of blended soup, tried it for the first time yesterday, and it was so good. I got 3 flavors of soup. So this is probably enough soup for a week or 2. It just depends on if I have the soup multiple meals a day or not. It really just depends on how hungry I am and how this blended diet works out in terms of my hunger and all that stuff. So bam, bam, bam. I got 3 of each flavor of soup. This is the one that I tried yesterday. It is black bean, chipotle, and cacao soup. They advertise the soups as being nutrient dense, real ingredients, and nothing else. That is 100% true. If you read the ingredients, it's water, beans, onions, olive oil, salt, garlic, chipotle peppers, and cacao. That is all that's in this. I love that this tomato one has lentils in it just to add a little extra protein, but it's like blended and broken down. I've really stopped eating whole lentils and whole peas like I was eating because they're just so hard to break down. It's so painful for me. Again, I don't feel as though I get the nutrition from it. I'll eat lentils, and whole peas, and I feel like it's just sitting in my stomach. And I'm full and nauseous and in pain, but also hungry because my body's not processing it. I don't know how many of you who have gastric accommodation problems or gastric emptying problems or both have this experience where you've eaten and you're hungry after eating because your body's like, I'm not getting nutrition from this. I still feel weak. I still feel like depleted, but also I'm physically full, in pain, nauseous. Like, well, I can't eat anymore. Sorry that I feel terrible, but I can't eat anymore. That feeling from eating food that isn't blended and pureed is helping me break down the mental barriers that I have had, putting a negative connotation on blended diets and liquefied foods. I've had so many mental blocks to committing to this kind of way of eating. Anyway, the tomato and basil with coconut is tomatoes, water, cauliflower, carrots, lentils, celery, onion, beet, olive oil, coconut cream, garlic, basil, sea salt, and thyme. It's like homemade ingredients. And I love that it's not just like tomatoes in this. There are so many other vegetables, cauliflower, carrots, lentils, beets, all these different things. And then the last flavor that we have is carrot, sweet potato, and turmeric. All the little illustrations too. And this one has water, carrots, sweet potato, onions, olive oil, coconut cream, garlic, sea salt, turmeric, ginger, and spices. Another plus of soups is that they seem like a much better avenue for me to be adding olive oil to rather than a protein smoothie. My nutritionist was like, just add olive oil to your protein smoothie. I tried that and it didn't taste good. But I love soup where you drizzle the olive oil on top and you just have olive oil with the soup. It tastes so good. When I had this black bean soup last night, I drizzled olive oil on it as I was eating it, which obviously added much needed calories, but it also just like made the soup taste better. So I'm thinking that these soups will be an avenue for me to get that olive oil that my nutritionist recommended for extra calories. And I am also seeing it as an avenue to help with my dysautonomia because, as I said before, even though the apartment is full of these LMNT salt packets, which I add to all my water, and even though these salt packets have 1,000 milligrams of sodium, it's not enough because I'm limited the amount of water that I can drink. Again, going back to my gastric accommodation problem, like it's it's more than just gastric emptying issue. It's the fact that my stomach has a really hard time stretching to accommodate liquids or food or whatever. And so I can't just chug 40 ounces of water to get salt into me if my salt is low. Like if I'm gonna drink 40 ounces of water, I have to drink it over the course of a whole day. And I'm just realizing that part of why I feel less sick right now, don't count chickens before they hatch, is because I have not really had any water today, and it is like 12. Because water just hurts me so much. I need to have some like water. Oh my gosh. Why am I... See, this is what I meant in one of my other videos was that a lot of times I choose between eating and drinking water, because if I just don't drink water, I have way less pain from eating because my stomach only has to process the food. I'm like, wow, I feel so much less sick today. I feel great. I've had no water today and it's 12 p.m. Except for the coffee that I had this morning, but that was coffee. This is so much to deal with. All that to say, it's hard for me to drink a lot of water. I have to force myself to drink water. If the water is the only way that I'm getting my salt to help with the dysautonomia, it's just not gonna be enough salt. So when I had this soup last night, I was pouring salt into it. I took this salt shaker and I was just pouring salt, and I would eat some of the soup and then I would pour salt. Because yesterday was such a hot day and I felt weak, disoriented, had a headache the entire day. Couldn't figure out why, because I was drinking salt water all day, but I could only drink so much water before I'll start throwing it up and I'll be in so much pain that I'm puking it up or whatever. And so I'm just like, why do I feel so bad? Oh, I haven't had enough salt today. So I had really salty soup and it was amazing. Let me put these soups back in the fridge and I'll give some final thoughts about the blended food diet. Well, I get some freaking water. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is how much water I've had today because I fill these up every night before I go to bed and both are full except the top of this. So I've had maybe 10 ounces of water this entire day. And it's noon. If I don't force it, I will not drink water because I just prioritize eating. It's very hard to balance drinking enough water and eating food because my stomach can only handle so much. And water also dilutes digestive enzymes and makes food harder to digest. So it's just like this whole calculation in my head. I have been way too hard on myself this entire time about figuring out my food tolerances and finding the perfect diet quickly, because this is a lot of things working together to figure out, and it's a lot. So just if you're going through something similar, do not be hard on yourself if you've been dealing with these issues for years and you feel like you haven't found a good way to eat to manage them, because I feel like I'm still figuring it out, obviously. I mean, this is the first time that I've actually tried to do a blended diet without relying on protein shakes, you know? And I've known that I probably should be doing a blended diet for a long time, but I've never actually tried to do it eating whole foods and like actually doing it in a way that might actually work. Craziness. And one thing I do love is that none of these foods that I've shown you have any added sugar. No added sugar in these, like no added sugar in the popsicles, no added sugar in the baby food, no added sugar in the yogurt, no added sugar in the spoonable smoothies, no added sugar anywhere, which really helps because added sugar is a killer for my nausea. Just a killer for my nausea. I used to eat so much candy because I imagined that it was just gonna dissolve in my stomach, but I didn't realize that it was like destroying my nausea and destroying myself with nausea with that. I would be like, how is candy making me nauseous? It should be just dissolving, but I didn't realize there was more at play than just how it fits in my stomach. There's always more at play. Anyway, can't believe I've had no water today. I mean, I can, I just am like, goodness. I've had half of this, and now that I'm drinking water, there's no way that I can do both. So this is gonna have to go in the fridge. Another thing that I'm working on is not forcing myself to finish a bowl of food or something. That is a big mental barrier that I'm trying to break down because I have a huge, might even be an OCD thing, where I tell myself, like, you open this granola bar, you made a bowl of something, you have to eat every bite. That does not help in terms of my symptoms at all. Forcing myself to eat past what my stomach can physically handle is the worst and leads to a lot of vomiting and a lot of pain and nausea and all that stuff. But I have a really bad habit of constantly force feeding myself as opposed to just eating smaller portions throughout the day, and I'm really trying to work on that. So leaving that in the fridge until I fill up to it, having some freaking water. Okay, I'm gonna drink this water and then like tell you my final thoughts about this whole thing. Final thoughts about why I've been unsuccessful doing blended or liquid diets in the past. I thought that I had to rely on nutrition shakes, protein bars, Kate Farm shakes, for example, which I know they help a lot of people. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm against Kate Farm shakes. They even helped me for a long time, but it's not the same as eating whole foods, something like this or a blended soup. Not eating whole foods, I don't want to say anything against that because honestly, I think however a person gets nutrition is valid and it's good. So I don't want to say like, oh, you can only eat whole foods. I don't believe that at all. For me, what I've noticed in terms of cravings and satisfaction. If I'm living on a bunch of Kate Farm shakes and that's all that I'm eating, I am going to want to rebel and I'm going to crave all the real food that I see around me because I'm like, I want to eat, I want to have all those flavors, I want to have real fruits, real vegetables, because I just crave it, and it's hard to feel like all of a sudden I am not allowed to enjoy food because of my issues. I saw a blended diet as very restrictive for a long time. I saw a blended diet as triggering for a long time. And I've also had the mentality for a long time, if I'm not pushing myself to the absolute limit, then I'm not fighting this hard enough. I've had this idea that in order to fight this, I have to rebel. So I've had this idea that if I can eat solid food physically, then I should. I should just go out and eat as much solid food as possible. Even if I'm vomiting it up, I've told myself like, well, that's me fighting it. That's me fighting this, me just forcing it. Forcing through the pain, through everything. Honestly, that mentality has been hurting me, not only mentally, but also physically. You know, eating food that I don't digest well, that just sits in my stomach for a super long period of time, it's only hurting me. It's only giving me less energy. It's making me sicker, hurting me physically, and it's hurting me mentally because it's ruining my relationship with food, and it's convincing me that all food is gonna make me sick, when I'm starting to realize that if I actually eat blended whole foods and blended nourishing foods, I feel a lot better. I still have to be mindful of the volume. Obviously, I have to be mindful of the volume, mindful of my water consumption, mindful of my salt consumption. But I also think I need to stop being obsessed with protein. Being obsessed with protein led me to this weird place. And the reason I became obsessed with protein was because I realized that blood sugar issues were also compounding my symptoms. Living on really high carb things was making my blood sugar do crazy things and making me feel more nauseous and feel weaker. Obsessing over protein was a way of fighting that, but a way of also fighting it that my body actually tolerates better is to just eat balanced blended meals. Eat things like blended soups, things that have fruits and vegetables. I got this book about blood sugar. This person, I follow her on Instagram, and she has 2 books about blood sugar. This is a recipe book, like it has a bunch of recipes in it, and then her other book is an informational one. But one thing that I learned from this book, the main takeaway, because a lot of it I can't apply because a lot of it is just like too much and doesn't work with my stomach and stuff like that. But one thing she talks about is how much eating vegetables helps with managing blood sugar. Like one of her number 1 things is have vegetables. Cutting out vegetables was one of the worst things that could have done for my blood sugar, and that has nothing to do with protein loading, you know? But if I eat, you know, these have vegetables in them, they're blended, they have vegetables in them, the Popsicles have vegetables in them, and then the blended soups are just full of vegetables. Like the blended soups are gonna be so good for my blood sugar, but they're higher carb. They're not super high protein. They're not gonna overload me with protein that's hard to digest and make me sick. There's a lot that I've been working through mentally. The other thing that I've been working through is not seeing a blended diet as proof that my condition is dire. And I think that especially family and friends, or just anyone when they hear that you're on a blended diet or struggle with solid food, get a negative connotation, because it has a negative connotation. Like a lot of times when someone is really sick with a stomach bug or whatever, they're like, oh, I can't have solid food, I have to have liquids, I have to have soup, and it gets a negative connotation when it shouldn't have a negative connotation. I'm starting to realize that I can get such a bigger variety of fruits and vegetables, such a bigger variety of food in my diet if it's just blended and broken down properly, like in a baby food or in a blended soup or whatever. And that's a huge positive. That's not a negative. The fact that I could get a bigger variety of food and better nourishment if it's just blended is a huge positive. And also the satisfaction factor. I mean, I felt as satisfied eating a blended soup as I felt eating that salad I made last week. Just emotionally satisfied by all the different flavors coming together and how savory it tasted. I have a big craving for savory food, and if I just live off of protein shakes and protein bars, that hunger for savory food will just jump out and kind of come out in a negative way, where I'll eat a bunch of food that I can't tolerate, like the salad I made last week that I'm now wasting and feel really guilty about. So there's just a lot of mental things that I'm trying to break down, but I'm really excited about this way of eating. It feels really good to me right now. I feel not sick at all from what I just ate for lunch. I'll have the rest for snack later and just work through it throughout the day, and then I'll have one of these delicious soups for dinner, and I think I'll end up feeling really good today and feeling nourished and having consistent energy and getting a variety of fruits and vegetables, which I never thought would be possible. I can put like one kind of fruit in my protein smoothie, right? When I have the soups and the baby food and the popsicles, it's just such a variety of plant foods. I'm just makes me so happy to think that I can do that again. I've been sleeping on baby food, and a lot of it has been a concern about blood sugar, because I've been like, if I just eat baby food, it's like straight carbs, and it's like, no, I can put it with some yogurt, I can put it with some almond butter, and it'll be fine. That's my update. I will talk to you guys in the next video. There's probably not going to be another diet update until after our Japan vacation, which is coming up in about a month. We're going to Japan, and in Japan, I'm obviously not going to eat blended food. I'm going to eat whatever I want in Japan, because once in a lifetime trip. I mean, I hope we go again in our lifetime, but you don't really know. Travel is expensive, and time off work is a whole thing, so you never know how often you're going to need to go somewhere. So I'm definitely going to just eat as much as I can in Japan, just deal with the symptoms. When I get back in September, I'll do another diet update and mention if anything's changed or if I'm still loving this blended diet. So yeah, I'll talk to you in the next video.